Welcome to Payoff Pitch Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch, joined by Sean Zerillo to look at Thursday's MLB playoff slate. We have two games today, one of the few remaining days where we will have more than one baseball game. Friday is guaranteed to have two baseball games as well, thanks to the Toronto Blue Jays last night. We'll get into both of these games today, a little series talk, some props. And we'll start with the Toronto-Seattle game because that's the late game today, but we can recap a little bit of last night's result. It was a really nice day for the podcast. The over was never in doubt. By the way, I need to correct myself, Sean. We talked about unders at the Mariners home stadium, the name of which right now is escaping me. It's not Safeco. T-Mobile, yes. There were a couple of games in 2000 also. There was more than 9 playoff games. I don't know how it escaped my memory. They beat the White Sox in the ALDS in 2000 at that park also. And there was a game at that stadium in 2000 where 10 runs were scored. So it was not, we were not at 6 and under for the history of that playoff series. Someone corrected me on Blue Sky last night. Appreciate that. But yeah,
the going back to that previous the early 2000 series, excluding the White Sox series, before yesterday, there had been an average of 4.67 runs per game at T-Mobile. So in the playoffs, so they were due for some high scoring baseball and almost scored as many runs in one game yesterday as they had scored in the previous 9 or 8. So yeah, definitely was due for some fireworks and they got them, but it's the late game again tonight. You know, they were the early game yesterday, or the only game yesterday, but 5 p.m. local time, stuck back again at, the later slot today. So could potentially suppress offense, a little bit colder temperatures.
Yeah, it was actually, there was only one game in that White Sox series in Seattle, and there was 3 runs scored, and then they played the Yankees in the ALCS that year. Game 3 was 8-2. Game 5 was 6-2. So 10 and 8 runs in the Yankee series. Anyway, but yeah, the over easy hit last night. Had a nice night on our props, 5 and 3. I gave out a couple of total bases where I said I'm not going to bet the homers on these guys. I don't want to get crazy. Of course, it was Alejandro Kirk and Addison Barger who went deep, so it could have been an even nicer night. But I'll take 5 and 3. The show right now in the postseason. By the way, you can follow all of the picks from the show at the Payoff Pitch podcast in the award-winning Action Network app. For the postseason, we're 68, 78, and 1, plus 21.31 units. So we're doing a good job here in October. Let's hope that we can keep it rolling tonight. We'll jump in to Mariners Blue Jays. Max Scherzer. They played a fact during the broadcast last night that he has something like I think it's 25 career postseason starts, and the rest of the LCS pitchers combined have 30 career postseason starts or something like that. So might be a nice coda on his career if he can take a dip in the fountain of youth. Luis Castillo pitching for the Mariners. We saw him in relief in that crazy Game 5 against Detroit. Mariners minus 127, Blue Jays plus 105. We will not have 2 sweeps in the LCS, which just from a baseball observer, I'm happy about with the Blue Jays win last night. Blue Jays will try to even the series up, make it a series tonight. Still haven't had a home team win a game. Total of 7.5. I kind of like where your head is at with this game, Sean. We hit an easy over on the total last night, and now you think things are going to change tonight.
Yeah, I like the under today. Make this total 7.1. I made it around 7.4 yesterday, but factoring in much more of Seattle's A bullpen tonight. Bizardo, Spire, Brash, Munoz should be good to go for the final 4 innings, maybe 4.5 innings, maybe final 5 innings, depending on how aggressively Dan Wilson is willing to deploy them, how many outs he's willing to give each of them, because any of those guys capable of going for 3 to 6 outs, generally speaking, most of them going to stick closer to 4. Bizardo probably closer to 6. Spire closer to 3. But on average, I think they can put together 4.5, 5 innings among those 4 high leverage arms, all of whom they've saved the past couple days. So I definitely do think, the Mariners B bullpen just getting shelled yesterday kind of masks how the game plays out when you do get the better arms in here. Also on the Blue Jays side, I wouldn't anticipate Max Scherzer having a particularly long leash. I had gotten initial reports from people that Chris Bassett was going to start game 4 and that Max Scherzer would be the guy in the bullpen. They ended up switching it. I assume they want the guy with the playoff experience. You don't want to lose an LCS with Max Scherzer on your roster and have him pissed off in the clubhouse that he didn't get to start one of the games against a very comparably projected pitcher. Chris Bassett doesn't project so significantly better than Max Scherzer that you're going to choose him over Scherzer if you're going to pitch both in the same game anyway. So to me, Scherzer with his outs prop at 11.5 is probably once through the order and then batter by batter from there, or maybe just once through the order in general. Turn over the lineup, get your 3 innings, get your 2.5 innings, and then you come out of the game. So Scherzer under 12.5 outs, 11.5 outs, 10.5 outs, I think is all fine, down to about 10.5 minus 110, because I'm expecting Chris Bassett to piggyback this start with him before the Blue Jays turn to their bullpen. Luis Castillo, much better home splits than road splits. We've gone over this several times, but the Mariners went out of their way to not start him in Toronto. They started Logan Gilbert on essentially a more compressed timeline relative to his previous appearance. I mean, they started on the same night, or they pitched on the same night in game 5, but Gilbert threw 3 times the amount of pitches as Castillo did. But they started Gilbert in game 2 because they want Gilbert in a potential game 6 back in Toronto. They don't want Castillo starting that game on the road. They don't want Castillo starting any game on the road, which actually makes it even more imperative that they don't let the series get back to Toronto if they want to win the World Series, because then you're lining up Luis Castillo to start games 1 or 2 in Los Angeles, probably against the Dodgers, or in Milwaukee against the Brewers, and you don't want that either. So if they're able to take care of business here in games 4 and games 5, you can then line up Gilbert, Wu, Kirby, whoever, but probably Gilbert in game 1 of the World Series. If you don't close the series down before it gets back to Toronto, then you're probably stuck with Luis Castillo in games 1 or 2 on the road, or at least swapping to Bryce Miller again, who pitched so well in Toronto. So every day of the playoffs, every day of the bullpen season, or every day of the baseball season has a sort of cumulative effect on tomorrow. And this is not only, a vital game for Seattle season, because they don't want to go into a 2-2 spot tomorrow with a mysterious Brian Wu performance looming. You don't 100% know what you're going to get out of Wu. He did look good supposedly in the bullpen sessions he took, the simulated sessions he took, to get himself back on the ALDS roster, or the ALCS roster, but you still don't want to be 2-2 going into that game with a banged up Brian Wu starting. You'd much rather be up 3-1 with all the pressure off of him. So in terms of tonight's game, I think both managers are aggressive with their bullpens. I think they can both afford to be, given how the past 2 games have played out and the fact that they've been able to save their higher leverage arms. Again, I make this 7.1. I made yesterday 7.4. The total went up from 6.5 all the way to 7, and 7 over minus 120 yesterday. Today, all of the money coming in on the over, and it has not budged off of 7.5. Now, if you look at T-Mobile Park specifically with regard to contrarian unders, and this is something I'm going to pull up right now because I forgot to do it for the article last night, but T-Mobile Park specifically, when the total is 7 as opposed to 6.5, and I said yesterday, in George Kirby's 57 starts at T-Mobile, only 6 of those had ever closed below 7. Obviously, yesterday did not. But at T-Mobile Park, when this contrarian system triggers, it's 48, 45 and 3 to the under, which is not, outrageous historically or anything. But when you filter it by the actual close of the line, so closing total range, and the total closes between 7 and 7.5, it's 23, 17, and 3 to the under. And when you look at games at T-Mobile Park in general, and I've done this specifically and recently, games at T-Mobile Park that close exactly on 7 historically perform, or 7 or 7.5, perform exceedingly well to the under. So it's just too high of a number for this park, considering the likely bullpen usage of both teams in this game. I know there were a million runs yesterday, and as a result, everybody wanted to bet The over again. I'm not zigzagging for the purpose of zigzagging. I'm zigzagging because I'm expecting heavier bullpen usage in this game tonight, and as a result, fewer runs. So 7.1, under 7.5 to -110. The under on Max Scherzer's outs prop, 11.5. I said I like, down to 10.5 at -110. And then Luis Castillo's under for his outs prop as well. I think he gets lifted before 15 outs here tonight. I think getting the 15.5 is safe. If you can get 15.5, take that up to -160, -150. But if you can get 14.5, I'm okay with it at -110. I think that is the spot where he gets pulled for Brazzardo, probably, if he's in trouble in the 5th inning. So under 7.5 to -110, Castillo under 15.5 to 14.5 -110, and then Scherzer under 11.5 to 10.5 -110.
I like the mindset there with the under and the pitcher unders because, a lot of times people would see that as anti-correlated because you think with an under that the starting pitchers are going to be strong, but your mindset is basically the pitchers are not going to be overworked and we're going to get all of those A arms in the bullpens. Scherzer, by the way, it's been 22 days since he pitched. I think that he's much more much more comfortable probably making a start after a long layoff than other pitchers might be. He's done stuff
literally
like
had the same thought. I was like, if there's any guy I'm not concerned about off of a layoff, it's probably Scherzer because he probably has the most experience doing so.
And Bassett did throw. He threw in that blowout 3 days ago. He threw 24 pitches, which is basically a bullpen day for a starter. It's been 28 days since his last start. It's been it was exactly 4 weeks ago during the regular season that Chris Bassett.
28 days later, you're telling me we get zombie Chris Bassett?
Yes. And it was against Tampa. Yeah, he wasn't particularly good in that start either. 4 1/3, 3 runs. He kind of faltered down the stretch there for Toronto. I don't remember if he had an injury or if it was like a lingering thing.
He was really good earlier in the year too. He's kind of a streaky guy. He might have just fallen off in terms of effectiveness.
But it is a guy with postseason experience.
So I doubt it's fatigue so much as just like streakiness.
Yeah, it is a guy with postseason experience too. I mean, obviously not any level comparable to Scherzer. No one is, but he made a start in the NL Wildcard Series for the Mets in 2022. He started 2 games for Oakland back in 2020 during the weird COVID playoffs, one against the White Sox, one against the Astros. So it's a guy he's a veteran. He's pitched in the playoffs. We'll see what he does there. I've got some hitter props again. Makes me a little bit more nervous picking some hitter props in a game that we expect to go under. Like last night, and I had so many hitter props in that game, and we had 15 runs or 16 runs scored in that game or whatever. It was like some of these guys are bound to hit, and I was kicking myself when Andres Jimenez was going deep and George Springer was going deep. I said about Springer too. I said I want to bet Springer. I'm going to stay away. He's going to hit a home run. It wasn't in the first inning. But he had a day. Varsho, so many of these guys.
I think Jimenez was 16-1 a homer. Pretty sure.
Yeah. So I've got one of those guys tonight. I've got 3 Toronto hitter props, 1 Seattle hitter prop. Toronto side against Castillo. We're looking at he's got a good pitch mix. It's similar to Glasnow, who we'll talk about here in a second for the Dodgers. Castillo throws 3 pitches, 20% or more of the time. His 4-seamer, his sinker, his slider. 4-seamer obviously leaned on the most, 46%. Sinker and slider both 20%, 21%. And he's got a changeup he throws 11% of the time. There are 3 hitters in the Toronto lineup who hit the 4-seamer and the sinker above expectation in terms of WOBA and slug. That's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Alejandro Kirk, and Ernie Clement, actually. And Kirk is the only one of those 3 who also hits the changeup well. There's not a lot of really good slider hitters in this lineup. Addison Barger's one of them, but I'm staying away from Barger tonight based on his 4-seamer success. So all 3 of those guys, 2+ bases, and to hit a home run. I'm going with the home run on Kirk and Clement tonight, where I avoided it with Kirk and Barger last night. Vlad Jr.'s numbers are coming down, as you might expect, after his insane performance last night and for most of the playoffs. 2+ bases, you can still get about +111. Home run +387. Kirk +165 and +750. So that's still pretty solid home odds. And then Clement, the long shot, obviously +200 for 2+ bases, and he's been a bases machine. He got a lot of hits last night again, and then Ernie Clement to hit a home run in the Andres Jimenez role. That's 14-1. So I've got those three, and on the Seattle side, it was a little harder to find someone with value. The guy I ended up going with is Josh Naylor, 2+ bases, +165, and to hit a home run at +600, which I think is really good value for a guy with the potential power for Naylor and the guy who can run into a fastball against Scherzer, like as a lefty.
He's got that new dad strength too.
Yes, that's definitely true. He is outside of Cal Raleigh, obviously the best fastball hitter in Seattle's lineup. Scherzer goes 4-seamer 48% of the time, slider 23% of the time, and then he's got the changeup and curveball 11 and 14% of the time. So you're primarily looking at the 4-seamer and the slider here. There's not a single hitter in Seattle's lineup who is significantly above average against both pitches, above their expectation, I should say. But Naylor has the 4-seamer success, and he's not bad against the slider or changeup. He just isn't good enough to quite, ping in my system. And he hits the curveball really well as well. So that's Scherzer's fourth offering. So relative to the odds and expectation here, I like Naylor here, especially if you get +600 to hit a home run, +165, 2+ bases. The guy, if there's going to be a to take a page out of our friends at BBOC Stuckey and Collins' book, if there's going to be a bet regret here in this lineup, it's probably going to be Canzone. Like, I know he's got really good odds. He's facing a right-hander, and he hits the slider well. He also hits the curveball well. So, like, if he goes deep off of Scherzer tonight, I'm going to have some bet regret. I'm staying away from Canzone, but I do want to mention it. That way we can bemoan it tomorrow when it doesn't hit.
He might not even start tonight. I've seen Mariners fans calling for him to take a seat on the bench, start Rivas at second base, DH Polanco.
Oh, interesting.
Move some pieces around. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're benching him for Rivas, that might make sense. If you're benching him for Mitch Garver, no, thank you. I'd still want Canzone. Yeah. But in terms of those props, Sean, I know it gets a little bit trickier when you're on an under here, but looking at a same game parlay here, we'll go with your under. And I like, of your two pitcher props, I think Castillo is the safest bet. Like, I think if Castillo pitches well, he could shove and still get pulled after 5 innings. Scherzer is more highly volatile, where if he shoves, maybe we lose this prop or whatever. But even if he shoves, he could still get pulled. But it's just a lot more volatile. Whereas Castillo, it seems pretty straightforward. So we'll for our SGP, we'll go with the under. We'll go with Castillo outs over Scherzer outs, and then in terms of a hitter prop, pick one of the guys. I guess. Going with an under, I'll say the prop that you hate the least of my hitter props to round out this SGP.
You know what the lock of the day today is Humpty, the salmon, to lose the salmon run in the Mariners race today, because they let him win a second consecutive race yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And got blown out. They got to let him lose today.
Yeah.
He lost in the 5th inning. Or whenever they run it of Game 5 against the Tigers, they let him win in the 15th, which inspired the team to victory clearly. Yeah. But he still never won during the first 9 innings of a baseball game. So Humpy to lose, the no at -500 on Humpy today. Absolute lock of the century. In terms of your hitter props, though, Action App does show value both on Naylor to hit a double and on Naylor to homer. So even though we don't project odds for total bases, or at least they're not in there yet, I'm going to nag them about getting those in there for next year, since those are pretty widely available. But you can pretty much infer if there's value on Naylor to double and value on Naylor to homer, there's value on Naylor to go over 1.5 total bases today. So Josh Naylor to keep things going, new dad strength, swinging for the fences, looking to get on base, look at his steal bases when he gets on base. Unfortunately, those stolen bases don't count for your total bases prop, but maybe a Naylor total bases and steal prop in the event that he gets a single and tries to steal second.
Oh my God. I love that. We will, we've missed our SGPs by 1 leg the last 2 nights. We've got 2 SGPs we're giving out tonight, so we got double the chances. But in an effort to hit one of these, we'll go just with the 2+ bases, the total bases for Naylor today to add to our SGP. So under 7.5. Luis Castillo under 15.5 outs. Josh
No
Naylor.
Humpy bet in there. We're excluding Humpy from that.
Humpy bet minus 500. Yeah, that adds the juice there. Naylor 2+ bases. We got 8 plus 850 at DraftKings.
Finding the two-way markets on the Mariners salmon run is really where it gets hard. You can find the one-way market with everybody to win, but finding the no is very difficult.
What are the other names? Do you know the other names of other than I only know Humpy?
Yeah, there's King Salmon, who wears a robe. He's themed for Felix, but King Salmon. Silver Salmon, who's like the tech salmon.
Okay.
And then there's a grunge salmon.
So like a Kurt Cobain themed or something.
The spinner salmon. He might be the spinner salmon. Yes, but it's very much like the grunge, like Kurt Cobain, like kind of vibe. Sockeye salmon. My apologies.
Sockeye. Okay.
Sockeye salmon is the grunge one, but yeah, you've got King, Sockeye, Silver, and Humpy.
Oh, I like that they have their win songs too. Sockeye, they play "Sea of Sorrow" by Alice in Chains.
Mm-hmm.
Silver, Humpy gets the Humpty dance. Are you a salmon fan? Do you eat salmon? I know a lot of people hate salmon. My wife hates salmon. I love salmon.
It's a weird thing to admit widely on a podcast, but I got sick on a fishing trip, like a commercial fishing trip when I was a kid. Not a commercial fishing trip, but like a trip where you go on a boat and everybody fishes, but like a bigger boat. And since then, like the smell of salt water brings me nausea. So there's like some like sort of like mental block thing I have with seafood, and not the fishy smell of fish, because good fish isn't supposed to smell fishy, but there is something about like the saltwater taste and like the idea of fish that gets me like nauseous. So unfortunately, I'm not as big of a fish person as I should be, but now that I'm in my 30s, I'm probably going to have to be at some point.
Before we move on, don't forget to sign up for Action Pro for real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Zerillo, Derek Carty, Kyle Murray, our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code PAYOFF20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code PAYOFF20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. That includes, by the way, the prop projections that Sean just cited about Josh Naylor. Those are all via a pro subscription. All right, Dodgers, Brewers, Game 3. Tyler Glasnow on the mound for the Dodgers. The Brewers still have not announced a starting pitcher. We don't expect them to until probably Pat Murphy talks to the media 3 or 4 hours before first pitch. We are expecting it to be Jacob Misiorowski. Whether he's starting or bulking is a question. They could always throw us a curveball and go with Quintana. Your season is basically on the line right now. Would you rather have your season end with Jose Quintana on the mound or Jacob Misiorowski on the mound? Seems like an easy call to me. Probably seems like an easy call to you as well, Sean. These projections are going to be based off of the assumption that it's Misiorowski in some form, at least for me. I'll let you speak on that as well, Sean. We talked a little bit about this series yesterday. Dodgers sweep 4-0 plus 170. Still value there. These odds have been moving in LA's direction and then kind of hovering here. Minus 198 as of this recording at DraftKings for the Dodgers on the money line. Plus 161 for the Brewers. Total of 8 tonight. Our first game of the series in LA. Sean, any thoughts here on side total, props? What do you got here?
Yeah, so if you didn't tune in yesterday and hear the spiel about the Dodgers to sweep, there's just definitive value considering what we know the Game 3 price is and what we can expect the Game 4 price to be. Also, as we're discussing Misiorowski or Quintana today, who do the Brewers throw tomorrow? Who do the Brewers throw tomorrow? If they use both Misiorowski and Quintana and their bullpen today, who starts for them tomorrow? Chad Patrick, Tobias Myers?
Tobias Myers is probably your answer.
That's what I have, right? So I have bullpen game today involving both Misiorowski and Quintana because there actually were reports that Quintana is expected to pitch today. Now, whether that's as a left-handed reliever for 6 batters to get through Muncy, Freeman, and Ohtani once, I think that's likelier the case. I don't think you leave him out there for the righties. I don't think you leave him out there for, 9 hitters, 18 hitters. So maybe once through for Quintana, probably twice through for Mizorowski, and then your bullpen, I think, has to be the pitching plan for today. But again, that just sort of robs you of the ability to do almost anything in game 4. So if you're going to commit to the bit today, you got to commit all the way. Now, what I find most interesting about this game is the start time. This is a 3:08 p.m. PT start. And the last time that we had this start, Tyler Glasnow faced the Phillies at exactly this time in game 4. And the shadows were miserable. And the Phillies struck out 8 times. Glasnow looked unhittable. Just awful ABs on both sides from both teams. Dodgers really struggling with Christopher Sanchez in that start. And Sanchez is a guy who's been much more gettable on the road this year. He looked great in that start. I think the shadows had something to do with it. He's also great. Don't get me wrong. I bet him for Cy Young. Like, I love Chris Sanchez, one of the biggest non-Philly Chris Sanchez fans on the planet. But the shadows undoubtedly helped him in that start, as they helped Glasnow. And I think they're going to be an issue here again today. So the total has gone up from 7.5 around plus money to minus 115 or so. The Dodgers, as we've said, have also gone up. You can bet the Dodgers to sweep around plus 170 was where I took it the other day. It was still there last night. We're assuming they're going to be around this price in game 4 as they are in game 3, which means their fair odds to sweep should be around plus 135, and you're getting as high as plus 170. So Dodgers to sweep down to plus 140 is fine. Plus 150, plus 140, either is fine. But then for this game, I don't have a specific side or total because I align with the market. I would lean under, but my projection leans over, and I'm leaning under because of the shadows. So I think we take advantage of that in terms of the pitching props with Glasnow. Unfortunately, Glasnow's strikeout prop is sitting at 6.5. It was about plus 110 to the over last night. I think it's as high as plus 130 today. He faced the Brewers twice this year. I believe struck out 5 in one start, 6 in another. If you project him out for strikeouts, it's really difficult to get him above 6.25. You'd have to give him like a natural 10% shadow boost, right? Which we're sort of just like making up to get him closer to 7. So if I got over 6.5 plus 150 on Glasnow, I'd be interested. If I got over 5.5 minus 140, minus 150 strikeouts, I'd be interested. I think his under hits and under earns runs props are better options here to lean into the shadows and lean into the effect that the shadows might have in terms of eliminating quality of contact for these Brewers hitters. I still think they can walk. I think they could potentially, get one big swing with runners on base and knock in some runs. But I think it's going to be hard to have sustained offense, a sustained rally, and to get multiple hits, considering the likely shadows and the quality stuff that comes out of Glasnow's hands. So under 3.5 hits to about even money, under 1.5 earned runs to minus 110 for Glasnow. We're going to wait on the strikeout prop, but then Dodgers to sweep the series or win 4-0 or cover the minus 3.5 game spread down to about plus 150. I'm even good with it down to plus 140 where I have it projected out, considering where we assume the game 4 line is going to be. So Dodgers to sweep is the main takeaway here, and then the Glasnow hits and earn run unders.
I was just looking while you were talking to see if there were props out there on just total strikeouts in the game for both sides or for either side because of the shadows thing you talked about. You can get Dodgers team strikeouts over 8.5 at minus 160, which I don't know.
Is that team strikeouts for their pitchers or for their hitters?
For their pitchers. Dodgers pitching to strike out over 8.5 batters. Strikeouts thrown. They don't have one for Milwaukee again because we don't know who's pitching for Milwaukee, and the books aren't going to put up something like that. But yeah, over 8.5 strikeouts thrown by the Dodgers minus 160. They kind of an option if you're afraid of the Glasnow prop there. I don't know if I'd necessarily bet it, but it'd be what I was hoping to find is total strikeouts in the game, like for both sides. You get like a 15.5 or something like that, maybe.
What I would know
with guys like McGill and guys like Uribe, like all these strikeout throwers in relief. Like if you're afraid of those starting pitcher props, like if you could just get these teams are going to strike out a lot today with the shadows, with the quality of pitching, like that would be nice.
The reason I wouldn't bet it, I specifically went back and watched like the plate appearances for Glasnow to see when they disappeared around the fifth inning.
Oh,
So it
okay.
was like the first half of the game that the batter was in shadow and the pitchers were in the sun. It evened out by like the fifth inning, sixth inning. So I think you get them early. I think maybe a first 5 under and then maybe a live over could be an angle as well, depending upon the score, the pitcher usage to that point, etc. But I do think it could be a live over opportunity given how the shadows may move throughout the game.
Yeah, first 5, you're looking at about under 4.5 is minus 145, under 3.5 plus 110. You can get Brewers team total under 1.5 minus 145. These, I mean, the books are they know. They're not stupid.
Yeah, I'd rather bet Glasnow under 1.5 runs,
exactly,
minus even money than Brewers under team. Yeah,
exactly. Similarly, I had a little bit of a hard time finding hitter props in this game, at least relative to the Blue Jays Mariners game. This is the first time, probably all playoffs, maybe one other time. I bet him with a stolen base and total bases, I remember. I'm betting Ohtani today. Hit a home run, 2+ bases. Again, I'm projecting him mostly against Mizorowski here. This is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit more hesitant to go all in on Dodgers hitter props today. It's just because of the Brewers pitching plan being uncertain. Like if we get Quintana a couple times, that changes things. But Mizorowski is obviously a fastball heavy pitcher, 55% of the time. The only other pitch he throws more than 15% of the time is his slider at 24%. Those are 2 pitches that Ohtani absolutely crushes. And I'm talking like crushes relative to Ohtani's expectations, more so than just crushes relative to the average hitter's expectations. Like they're very, very above average pitches for Ohtani. So I like him to hit a home run, plus 240, which I believe our pro projections actually shows an edge on, which is very rare for top hitters.
Yeah.
You never see edges on Ohtani, on Judge, on Raleigh, but we've got a little bit of an edge here on Ohtani to home run. I've got him plus 240, and then 2+ bases. It's minus money most places. I did find a plus money, plus 100 on 2+ bases for Ohtani at Fanatics, if you have access to that book. So I like those 2 props on the Dodgers side. On the Brewers side, against Glasnow, it's a little bit more straightforward. Glasnow, again, like I said, similar to Castillo, 4 pitches he throws 20% or more of the time. He doesn't throw a single pitch more than 35% of the time. That's his 4-seamer. Then slider, curveball, sinker. Sinker's the lowest usage, but it's only 1.3% less than his curveball. But there's only one hitter in the Brewers lineup who hits 3 of those 4 pitches above expectation, and that's the guy who killed us the other night, Andrew Vaughn. 4-seamer, slider, curveball, all above average pitches for the former Chicago White Sox. So I'm on Andrew Vaughn here on the Brewers side. Just one pick on each side. Andrew Vaughn, 2+ bases, plus 172. To hit a home run, plus 620, which seems like really nice value there. I should mention that the slider is probably Glasnow's most gettable pitch. So take advantage of a hanger there. Vaughn can hopefully do some damage. But again, against the shadows, it gets a little tricky. Maybe these hitters start doing damage in the late innings against relievers. So that's why I'm a little bit more risk averse on these props. But between the 2 games, that's 12 hitter props. Again, I emphasize low risk. I've got 12 hitter props. I think I'm risking about 2 units total between those 12 bets. So keep that risk low. In terms of an SGP tonight, we'll throw your 2 Glasnow props in there because I love those. Glasnow under 3.5 hits, Glasnow under 1.5 earned runs, and Ohtani, Vaughn, bases, home runs. Sean, any preference there?
Ohtani homer. You alluded to it, but the Action Network app does project an edge on that. They make that about plus 225. I see as high as plus 255 out there. So that down to about plus 230, 235, I think is, actionable and can certainly juice up an SGP.
Yeah. All right. So we'll add Ohtani homer there. That'll be fun. Our producer, Eddie, mentioned before we record that his videos of these podcasts that he puts up on YouTube, which definitely, if that's the way you consume the podcast, great. If not, that's another option for you. 2 days ago, he had last game he had Vlad Jr. on there as the thumbnail image. He hit a home run 2 days ago. He had Max Muncy as the thumbnail image. He hit a home run. So I told him he needs to put Ohtani on there today. Hopefully we can go 3 for 3 on YouTube thumbnail image home runs. And that's a plus 800 SGP.
I mean, if we have that kind of power, we should be searching for something a little bit juicier than Ohtani. So we'll see. If Ohtani hits today, we're really going to test the theory out tomorrow.
Maybe, if we want to be bold, we throw Ernie Clement on the thumbnail image today.
If Ohtani homers today, we're going to get real crazy with a player tomorrow.
All right, good. All right, that'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app, and also please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out our new AI quick slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bet you're looking for. It'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. We will be back again tomorrow. We have confirmed 2 games on the schedule tomorrow. Both of these series will be playing on back-to-back days. I would be willing to bet that Friday is our last day of the season where we have more than one baseball game. I think that might even be guaranteed. I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedules. Maybe if there's a game 6s and 7s on Monday or something like that.
I think there could be one more day after Friday, but yeah, I would take that bet with you. I think tomorrow's the last day with 2 games.
Yeah, and it'll be myself, Sean, and Derek Carty on our Friday episode, so we'll have a little bit of extra juice on the picks tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. Thanks for listening again. For Sean Zerillo, I'm Collin Whitchurch. This has been Action Network's MLB betting podcast, Payoff Pitch. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets.